Recently, I was on a call with a friend while she went through her level requests, and we came across a level that caught my attention, Uneasy Clubstep by Camp Mickey. This was a Clubstep remake, and it was silly. Random moving objects, the devil vortex saws just sitting there, a background saying subscribe, this amazing transition, and my favorite part, when it says the end, like it's a trick, but it actually just is the end. This level sucks, and I love it. Now, I'm not about to call this level good, but no level that takes itself seriously can achieve what this level has, making me lose my mind laughing at its wonderful absurdity. Seeing this level and seeing just how different my reaction to it was from my friend, a question started to form in my mind. Why do I adore these levels that are so far removed from what the wider community normally sees as good? This question brought me to a very different level, one very close to my heart, Caught in the Rain by Nocturnal Mode, an alt account by my friend Bridget the Croco. This was the last level she made before she unfortunately passed away early last year, and so in that way alone it is inherently meaningful. But even aside from that, it is a genuinely interesting, thought-provoking level. Its block designs and gameplay are all rather simple, but it also has these super intricate designs in the background and some really mesmerizing particle effects. There's a touch of humor with the cloud people, some copy and pasted images of a girl with an umbrella, and a near constant particle rain effect. To me, this level really feels like a piece of art, and it does what I want any piece of art to do. It makes me feel something in a way that few other levels can do. I'm not about to bash other more popular levels. I don't think that there is anything wrong with the kind of stuff that usually gets rated nowadays. And I'm certainly not about to tell you that something like Uneasy Clubstep deserves a star rate, although Caught in the Rain definitely does in my opinion. I really just think that the Geometry Dash community as a whole has sort of narrowed their box a little too much for what a good level should look like. Widely celebrated levels like Limbo, Aperture, and Whitespace are amazing. Hell, I credit Limbo as my favorite level in the game. I didn't spend 2 years beating it for nothing. I just don't think that these kinds of levels, these masterworks created through hundreds of hours of hard work in the level editor, are the only ways in which a level can be great. Aperture is absolutely a beautiful piece of art worthy of praise, but in my opinion, so is Caught in the Rain, just in different ways and for different reasons. A slightly more controversial example would be The Abyss by Yuko. This level has always felt so beautiful to me. It's so serene with its dark, melancholy atmosphere, the specks of light and the color poking through, the immersive sense of going deeper and deeper into this strange ocean, slowly journeying through mysterious locations long lost to time, all while the music slowly turns from something slow and beautiful to something decayed and much more somber. I have a specific memory of years ago staying up until late hours into the night, my bedroom dark, trying over and over to pass this level's most difficult sections, with that pensive, solemn music playing through my headphones. Despite how much trouble I was having with the level, that sense of serenity was incredibly memorable. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about here. I love levels that amaze me visually, but the ones that really stick with me are the more subdued ones, the ones that take a bit more reflection, a bit more intention to truly appreciate. In the title of this video, I called these levels bad. Clearly, I don't think any of these levels are actually bad. They're just good in different, maybe not quite as obvious ways. The reason I use this term, though, is because I don't think that these kinds of levels are getting the attention they really deserve. The Abyss is pretty widely known, but only because it's a former top 1 platformer. Caught in the Rain is super unknown despite its well-known creator. And Uneasy Clubstep, well, this one's not getting a boatload of attention anytime soon. My point, though, is that we as a community tend to put all of our love and appreciation into levels that wow us visually, but very little into the ones that have the ability to have this emotional effect on us. It's understandable to a degree. More subdued levels don't make for clickable thumbnails or winners of gauntlet contests, and honestly, they take more effort to fall in love with. And I'm not trying to say that fans of levels like these are better or more artsy or anything. I just think that opening yourself up to new kinds of experiences and a wider array of emotions isn't something we always think to do. Heck, I'm guilty of this as well. There are all kinds of books worth reading out there, yet I really just stick to fantasy and sci-fi. I'm probably missing out on some really exceptional stuff by not expanding my horizons. Apologies for the sound quality of my phone, but there's one more level that I would really like to show you. If you frequented Geometry Dash Twitter a few years back, you might be familiar with this name. Test Tube by Blanket Addict. This level is really weird. You go through a bunch of seemingly unrelated sections with this repeating, anxiety-inducing melody in the background, with no gameplay sync to speak of. It's difficult to explain why, but watching a video of this level, listening only to its strange song, makes me feel incredibly strange. To me, it is deep in the uncanny valley territory. There's a deep sense of unease, like I'm watching something I shouldn't. The best way I can explain the emotions I feel watching this level is like I'm seeing some sort of 2D gamified version of some kind of unnatural set of mental experiments. Now, you may think I'm looking way too deep into this, and I'm not even saying that you're wrong necessarily. But seriously, watch Blanket Addict's showcase, headphones on with no distractions. It is a weird experience. The most memorable part of this level to me, the part that cements this level into my memory, is at the 2/3 mark. You travel in pitch blackness before some lonely trees appear. It slowly turns into a sparse forest, then a deep woods. You enter a castle and the screen fades to black. By this point in the level, my nerves are already pretty high. When sight returns though, you're in a hypnotic black and white room, and you are immediately met with a framed image of a hospital bed. I cannot explain why, but this image in this context sparks a genuine flood of panic in me. Something about this level, with its cartoonish graphics suddenly jump-scaring me with this real-life photo, makes me feel a very real, deep sense of terror. Before the picture even leaves the screen, we see a second one, a different hospital bed in an uncannily empty room. The biggest shock of the first image is over, but this one extends that feeling of fear just a little longer. When you exit the room, you fall through the ground, but not without experiencing one final little jolt. A photo with an eye that has just a little too much red in it. Somewhat unsurprisingly, TestTube got a ton of hate when it was first posted to GD Twitter. It's not really possible to make a level this intentionally bad in certain ways without receiving a bunch of backlash. One of the main criticisms people had, if I remember correctly, is that TestTube tried way too hard to be something different, and it was a sort of self-indulgent performance of uniqueness, as if the level were trying to say, if you think I'm ugly, then you just don't appreciate the arts. I do sort of see where people are coming from here, but I definitely disagree as a whole. Yes, the level is different. Yes, it's basic looking as an artistic statement, but that doesn't mean it's inherently pretentious or performative. There's no such thing as a level that is objectively good or bad. Imagine another version of society where, despite the game's updates over time, people just stuck to 1.0 style decoration, believing that the original, most simplistic style of the game brought the most beauty. Would that society be wrong for not preferring our styles of decoration? Or would it just be a different preference? I like this level. It makes me feel unique emotions that no other level has ever made me feel. TestTube will never be rated, and I don't think that it should. It is not a level made for mass enjoyment, and it's certainly far from meeting the game's current rate standards. And there it is, the term I've been dancing around all video. Rate standards. Love them or hate them, they're a thing, and they are everywhere. But what are they really? What are they actually for? And most importantly, why is it that the levels I love so much on this emotional level, and the levels that get the most popular in the community, always seem to be in these completely separate boxes? I'm definitely not a pick-me. I'm happy to love what's popular, so long as it's truly what I love. So where else could this mismatch be coming from? There are three main things that Geometry Dash's rate system was designed to accomplish. Wow, my hair looks bad right now. Number one is to provide players with incentive to play online levels. This is completely self-explanatory. All games want players to play them. Number two is to provide players with an easy way of finding high-quality levels to play. This is to directly support point number one. And finally, to provide creators with incentive to create high-quality levels. But this is no longer as straightforward as the first, because what does it even mean for a level to be high quality? This is the root question of the video, and a question that has plagued the community for years, since the very beginning of the rate system. Now, the people whose opinions objectively matter the most for whether or not a level gets rated are moderators and RobTop, because working together, they decide what gets rated and what doesn't. Now, I've been in the community for many years, and I've seen a lot of moderator level request streams, so I've picked up a general sense of what is required, and it boils down to 3 main things. 1. Is the level fun to play? 2. Is it visually appealing? And 3. Does it have a sense of polish? Polish, what does that mean? Like, yeah, everyone wants a polished product, but this is Geometry Dash. What is polish? Go into any level request stream and you will see levels getting praised for their polish or criticized for lack thereof. Sometimes it counts just a little bit against the level, and sometimes it's a deal breaker. It differs from person to person, which is not necessarily a bad thing. This video is not meant to be a critique of the mod team or anything like that. I just want to understand this word that is used everywhere. So what is polish in the context of making Geometry Dash levels? After watching a bunch of moderator live streams, I've picked up on a sense of what people mean when they use this word. Having a polished level means having visually clean designs, having gameplay that flows together in a natural way, having backgrounds that fit the theme of the level, stuff like that. At the end of the day though, polish refers to a feeling that the level is a finished product and not something that was rushed out the door for the sake of earning creator points. The level should appear as though its creator put genuine time and effort into making it cohesive and fit well together. And the kind of levels that tend to get rated nowadays do seem to fit this standard. The feature tab is full of polished looking levels. They have this sort of sense of cleanliness to them, like they were not just thrown together in a haphazard way. So if the rate standards are doing their job, then what's even my problem here? The thing that bothers me is not that the kinds of levels I've talked about in this video are going unrated. Again, I don't necessarily think that they all should be rated. My problem is that I don't understand why these levels I adore so much that tug on the weird emotions in my brain tend to be the ones that look unpolished. I adore Caught in the Rain despite the fact that it does kind of look just thrown together. The designs are messy, the background doesn't necessarily mesh well with everything else going on. There are stretches of blank space, and especially when compared to stuff on the feature tab, you could definitely argue that it looks a little unfinished. But I also firmly believe that a more polished, clean-looking version of Caught in the Rain would not have nearly the same emotional effect on me. Something about the fact that it all looks a little thrown together, a little messy, is not only not a detriment, but in fact makes me like the levels so much more. The imperfection brings a sort of authenticity, making it extremely clear that Bridget was making this level first and foremost for herself. So there's this new theory. Does a level being polished inherently make me like it less? Well, no, that doesn't make sense either. That didn't work very well. I can name countless super polished levels that I love deeply. Some of these are my favorite in the game. But here's the thing. Although I do adore these levels, I like them in a very different way than the others I've talked about in this video. I love them for their excitement, their mesmerizing block designs, their effects, and their technical skill, and not necessarily for their sense of charm, authenticity, or emotional resonance. Now, this is not to say that these things are entirely mutually exclusive. It's not a sliding scale where you have to pick one or the other, but it is a general trend that occurs when creators want to build levels that the community sees as good. And what does the community see as good? Polish. There is no doubt that polish can help make a level great, and it can certainly make it more widely appealing, which is one of the things that today's rate standards are trying to accomplish. But this heavy commitment to polish, this need for everything to look clean, blocks off these more subtle levels to show their own unique beauty and have it appreciated. This is not about rates. The Abyss got rated after all. It's about what we as a community see as good versus bad, as amazing versus underwhelming. Polish, this attribute we value so highly in our levels, can absolutely be a great thing. But, and this is the big point here, it is not the only good thing. It is not the only way to make a masterpiece. These hidden gems, these levels a little rough around the edges, packed into the corner of RobTop's databases, they can be masterpieces too. They are masterpieces. Orbit is beautiful, but so is the Abyss. Aperture is a work of art, but so is Test Tube. These forgotten levels deserve praise. They deserve the community's attention. They deserve my love. and I believe that they should deserve yours too. This is my plea to the Geometry Dash community. Polish, cleanliness, and cohesiveness are attributes, not objective measures of quality. Try and find the beauty in the imperfect, the story behind the mess. And next time you see a level that looks a little bit unpolished, a little disorganized, consider that maybe, just maybe, those points of imperfection are what make the level special. Thanks for watching.